Kamrimo to everyone. This is the season that the Lepchas are celebrating their festival, that is Nambun Namal. Nambun, which means festival of the year, and Namal, which means a new year. So why the Lepchas are celebrating this festival? Let's get to know. When we go back to the history, we'll come to know the God creator at first created a man and a woman, that is Namsung and Fogrong thing. They were living happily with the God, but unfortunately they fell in love with each other, which was against the favor of the God. The God got angry and decided to give punishment to them. As a punishment, they were sent to the earth. On earth they had to live on their own, survive on their own, and it was very hard for them. After a few years, they gave birth to their first son, that is Lasso. So instead of keeping the son, they decided to leave the son in the jungle because they were afraid of God. So as the time passed by, they gave birth to the second child. To the second child also, instead of keeping, they just left in the jungle. So likewise till the seventh child, they just gave birth and left in the jungle. So they were living on their own. But when the eighth child was born, the mother decided not to leave the child in the jungle. So she just decided to give all the love, and she just took care of the child from then onwards. So the seventh child that they left in the jungle started to transform into monster. On the other hand, the eighth child onwards, they were called as Lepchas. They were the members of the Lepcha family. Here, with the time, the population of the Lepcha and the population of the monsters were increasing. As the population was increasing, there started a war between the Lepcha and the monsters. So the war was terrible. The greatest advantage of the monster was that they could transform from one animal to the another animal year after the year. So they started to transform and they started to fight against the Lepchas. So as the war was going on, at first the monster tried transforming into a mouse, which we called Kolok. So they transformed into Kolok and they started a war against Lepchas. The war was there. At the end of the year, the Lepchas won over the monsters. So they started to celebrate the year. So at the end of the year, every year, the Lepcha started to win the war against the monster. So they started celebrating every year till 12 years. So after the 12 years, the monsters were totally eliminated by the Lepchas with the help of Ajorbungting and Mun. So when the Lepchas had the victory over the monsters. So this is the time they used to call to all the loved ones, and they used to celebrate. Not only celebrate, they used to make sure that they would be more strong and vigorous for the upcoming years. So likewise, from that time, traditionally it has been transformed from 1 year, 2 years till today. We are celebrating the victory that we are fighting against the monsters every year. So the monsters are not here in real at the present generation. The monsters are within us. The monsters like pride, the monsters like injustice, the monsters like laziness, the monsters like hatred are inside us, which are making us monster. So we are fighting every year with all those monsters, and we are getting a victory at the end of the year, and we are making ourselves more strong and vigorous for the next year. So this is why we celebrate this. From December 4th to December 10th, we are celebrating the victory, and we are making sure that we are going to be more vigorous, more strong enough, and more courageous enough to go against all the temptations and all the monsters of the next year. So on the basis of that, our Lepcha season, that is Chennai Lepcha season, is celebrating this Nambun Namal this year in Chennai.